Hi, I'm Umek. I'm a DJ and producer from Slovenia. I've been living in Ljubljana for all my life. I had a chance to move around the world because I play a lot, and I could kind of live anywhere around the world if I wanted to, but I love Ljubljana. So small, so cozy, so nice. I started writing electronic music, I guess it was 91, that I was 16 years old. But about that time, I totally fell in love with electronic music. It really synchronized well with my age, you know. I guess you start listening to music properly when you're like 11, 12 years old. And there was this acid house movement. I was there at the right time. The scene was fresh and new, kind of hard to get all this music, but enough, just fresh enough and new enough for me to influence me so hard as it did. But then I remember in '95, for the first time when I heard the Surgeon's record on Downwards, everything changed for me. And at that time, I knew I'm gonna play only techno. I played some techno before that, but though that record changed everything for me. I met two guys, friends of mine. Their name were Uroš and Vid. And we met in K4. So those guys were like really computer freaks. They were programming stuff for companies. And yeah, this is how it started. Uroš said, come to my place, let's hang out, we'll see what we do. And then we were sitting at his house at the computer, and he showed me this sequencer called Scream Tracker. So imagine I made a track, and I made different sequences on MPC-60, but I had to call two of my friends to control all the synthesizers and the mixing desk. So I was kind of telling them what to do and when. So one guy was on mixing desk, so turning on and off knobs. The other guy was turning one synthesizer, the second one I was turning the sequencers, rhythm machines, the synthesizers. So it was all synchronized with hands. And everything was recorded live. So it was kind of funny. We just changed the sequences, and then we were pressing knobs. And when the guy pressed on and off knob, but not in the right time, the hi-hat was recorded in half, so we had to do it again and again and again. Always was something wrong, so sometimes it took ages to record this track, but it was fun. Then we changed to Logic. Logic was our heart and soul of the studio. I still used all the synthesizers, so it was a combination between computer and hardware machines, but everything was recorded on DAT recorders. This was the beginning of software, since it was still not that good. Everybody was complaining how the hardware is better, and at that point, they were right, you know. But you could see that everything's gonna change, that something revolutionary is coming, you know. I realized I don't need hardware synths anymore. They are a pain in the ass. Most of them don't even have a bank where I can store my sound. A lot of them were changing the sound while I was actually making the tune, because you know, you had to, certain synthesizers, you had to turn it on and left it for half an hour to, so they would go on a working temperature. And the sound was actually changing. And next day you left everything as it was and you pressed it and the sound was completely different. And then I was like, oh my God, is it worth having a hardware synth? And since then, I'm using plugins. From time to time, I use synthesizer. I wouldn't be fair if I would say I would get the same results as the hardware, but I get the similar ones. If it is better or worse, it's just an opinion of a person. The scene in Slovenia was almost unexisting at the time. Luckily, there were three guys, pioneers of electronic music in Slovenia. They had this radio show that was a big influence on me and all the other pioneer techno producers from Slovenia. I was meeting these guys at the radio station where we all met and discussed about this music, because I never met any other guy that was listening to electronic music at that time. So it was impossible to get this music at that time. So everybody's listening to Guns N' Roses, I guess, and I don't know, all the rock stuff. And I was that guy who was listening to strange music. And luckily I heard about the show, and luckily I knew this guy that knew that guy, and that guy knew that guy, and I heard that people are gathering this radio show. So this is where we started to hang out. And from there, they started to do a club night in K4, legendary student club. So I was really young at that time, and my mom let me out only till certain, let's say 1 o'clock in the evening, in the morning, night. So I could go in a club only from 10 till 1 o'clock. So I was listening for 3 hours of this fresh music that influenced me so much. And then I was literally running home from the club, so I could stay in the club as long as possible. I was a basketball player at that time, so I was able to run fast and for a long time. So I was in the club till 12:45, and then I was running the whole way home. Just to stay there for like another 15 minutes, because you never know what kind of track he's gonna play. So these were the beginnings. When I completely fell in love in techno music, it was really raw, tough, underground, dark, and then it changed. Of course, techno is always changing. It always will change. But I remember it evolving into more organic sounds, involving more tribal stuff. Then it became more funkier, with more houseier sounds and feelings. And for me, from that point, I went to tech house. And then from tech house, I'm back to techno. So the scene is evolving. There are new names, new ways of production, new approaches on programs, how to make music. For example, the most significant change was the speed of techno. Speed of techno was always faster than house. It still is. But back in the days, we were playing easily 148 BPMs, 145, 133, 143. If I would play today let's say 140 BPMs, I would be considered as a hardcore DJ, like out of his mind DJ. And today techno is about 125 to 130. Obviously, there are DJs who are playing faster, and there are DJs who are playing slower. "1605 was founded when me and Valentino closed the Recycle Loops. We went separate ways. I went with my friends, with a group of friends, and we said it's time to do a new label. Let's start a new story. Recycled Loops was a successful story, but it's in the past, and we're always aiming for the future. The policy of 1605 was always to find fresh new names, to try find names from ex-Yugoslavia or in Eastern Europe. And this was our policy for a long time. I would still love to and prefer to release artists from this area to represent those DJs and to show the world what we are capable of. But the problem is we don't have that many producers. I don't care if this guy is coming from trance or from electro or from house, as long as he makes good tunes, and as long as they are interesting for me, I will release them. I don't really look what's their background or what they represent. I always listen to the music, and I think it's the most important thing. My project for next 12 months is very similar as it's always been. I have to release good tracks. I have to sign really cool artists on 1605 labels. I'm doing this project. Actually, I've finished this project with native instruments. I did a sample bank for machine, and I'm really proud of that. I always wanted to work with native instruments, and now I finally got chance to do that. And then the plan is to travel around the world, meet exciting people, and I hope I'm gonna get the chance to work on projects like this one in the near future. My advice to techno producers is be patient. I probably sent 50 demos to Toolroom and they were all rejected. So all your listeners, you can see how many records I released with Toolroom. Loads of them were ending on #1 places for a long time. But believe me, I was rejected many times. I guess I was not suitable at the moment. It's just you have to wait for your moment. You have to know when the moment is right, when your music grows up, when you as an artist grow up. And so don't give up. This is my message. I always wanted to be released on Toolroom and I achieved that. So I encourage you to do the same. If you're gonna get 5 times no from me, for example, just keep sending stuff. Go to the studio, make better tracks. I'm sure this moment can happen for you.